do I need to have heard about it, out of curiosity? I mean, I'm actually looking at it because I haven't looked at the reviews of it. It's got 17% positive reviews. Grim. You're bummed it's all AI slop? I kind of sniffed that one out a while ago. I mean, when the Steam page for it originally released, it had a very, this looks generated and doesn't look drawn image of a skull as its image initially. So when I got the first email about it, which was maybe 2 months ago, it had that image there, and I was like, I'm not even, I responded to the dev, I was like, I'm not interested in covering your game. Work of Pride, Basement of Action, Boat of Seizing, Unretire. Moonwalk, Ancientgrease. So in the early spring of 256, the muscular spear of strength of Ancientgrease founded Ancientgrease, and the hideous knowledge of the slighted defeating the larval curses of the Curse of Distraction and took over Ancientgrease. Now the government was called the Exalted Tome, and we can now unretire this. Not technically Jack Nurk. A dwarven outpost revisited. You have returned. How have your sturdy charges fared in your absence? Have they gone on adventures or moved on to richer delving at a new frontier settlements? Perhaps they are all still here, unwilling to leave the magnificent fortress you prepared for them. Deep underground, the promise of treasure and the thrill of overcoming danger have lured you back to this place. Will you strike the earth again? Yes! Goblin Fortress, Goblin Fortress, Goblin Fortress. I like how there are career goblins. Now the real question is, what do I have for man? Oh, yeah, of course. Let's see who's named. Okay, cool. So my my expulsions worked. Hold on. I'm just going to unforbid shirts. Actually, let's just unforbid everything on the surface. I do have one issue here, though, I think. Well, maybe not. What's even better? Oh my god. I didn't even think... So I can't make squads until we acquire a mayor. But I didn't even think about this. The goblins... Well, first off, a bunch of them are hostile and considered current residents, which is hysterical. But because they were in the military that took over this place... Because they were in the military that took this place over, they all have militia skills. That is awesome. Fuck yeah, dude. I also have to note something, which is... I lost, I think it was 2 years of time due to some save weirdness when we embarked yesterday. So I don't actually have the wall done yet, which is kind of a shame. Same with this. This up here isn't done. The queen also isn't here. So there is that. But the named dwarves in the fort now are Aspericus, Azuri, Bearded Donis, Beagle Weagle, Bird, Bolter, Cat, Darius, Goblinus, Greg and then some Ice Blue, Ledoran, Moreb, Ranger Rick, Salicon, Shorticus, Six, 6, 7. Ulysses, Eurystes, and Weed. And I am going to really quick go update the title of the fort. I can't remember what your dwarf was named, Moreb. I did just read your name? Wow, okay. Sorry, my brain is fine and healthy and functioning. Oops, all goblins. I really... Bald Doom? The Doom of Balding? I love how there's just goblinus. I'm just gonna screenshot this and just tuck this up onto Discord real quick. Because this is... I've been aware that you could do this for a long time. I've never gone out of my way to try. How's it going? So I just reclaimed my old fort. Because I've got goblins. I do have a problem, though. And that's I don't actually have a mayor right now. So because of that, I don't have a manager. And so because of that, I can't use the manager screen until we acquire a manager. But I may have just built a goblin fortress. So how is it going? Pretty great, man. I mean, look at this shit. This is so freaking silly.
Woo half a year. 0.
Although we're going to run out of drink really fast. What the shit? Oh, this is even wilder. There is a caravan yak with a full inventory that's part of... What the actual... Chat, what did I just sell to my own faction? Bone bolts. That's weird. I'm just gonna slaughter all of these. Basically everything. Like, I just want to clean up this fort and kind of start anew. Maybe not anew, but like clean up this fort a bunch. I also want to go down to the first cavern layer down here, and I want to clean this up. Yak followed the wrong dwarves out of the fort. Yeah, it's bizarre. How the hell does that happen? Sorry, Attis, Ast, and Rimtar. So, hold up. Are these dwarves? I'm just gonna accept all of these requests in future. Magma Crab is fighting? Well, okay, so this is a bug that kind of sucks. But sometimes when you reclaim things, it just exposes everything because it assumes that if you see part of something, you were able to see everything before, which means I can see all of the magma sea, even though I probably shouldn't be able to. Oh well, that's fine. There are 4 hostile goblins down here at the bottom, which is really funny, but I can't make squads right now. I could just own them, but... Was I throwing goblins into the lava? I wasn't throwing goblins into lava. I mean, I did have this hole that I was dropping stuff into, but... Hold on. I need to do this. I also need to start brewing alcohol yesterday, so we should do that too. And I have to do everything manually by hand. Hey, Hunker made it. So let's go to you and say, brew drink from fruit. Do that now. Let's go. Do I not have more? I guess I don't. Let's just make 2 more stills. Not out of tin, though. I can't. Waba. This is the noble screen. Because those were the 4 that didn't get killed and didn't assign it, so they're kind of like stowaways. Why? Because this isn't a fully dwarven fortress yet, and it's going to take a little bit for the dwarves to consider it a dwarven fortress. So we have to wait until they elect a mayor before they realize it's a dwarven fortress, which is going to take a little bit. And also, I need a farmer's guild. At least that's all still set up. That's still set up. Okay, well, let's just go build a farmer's guild. Actually, how many miners do I have? Do they all have picks? Also objects. Yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a few answers to questions in this of like, why can't I do X thing? And the answer is just going to be, because I can't. This is one of those weird things that like is intended as a feature, but like probably needs more considerations to function well as a feature, if that makes any sense. Will I get migrants? Yeah. I mean, I should. Wait a second. Did that pop up on its own, or did I do it? I actually wonder if there's still jobs technically assigned. You don't get attacked before you have new management set up? Wouldn't that be funny? Okay, let's see. Is there anything going on in the overworld right now? Portal Tangle is still cool. Moonwalk has a population of 50. Hopefully they don't get demolished. I uploaded a video, what, a week ago on YouTube, Volkov, that explains how to install it. It's literally, it's a GitHub page and the instructions are all on GitHub for how you do it. It's pretty friggin' straightforward. You literally click it and drag a thing into DF hack and then enable it. I'll take the guilds and the metalsmiths guild. Okay. TF also has nonsense bureaucracy. Well, right now this is like we're basically playing a vassal fort right now. Like this isn't like a complete dwarven fortress. This is a recently recaptured dwarven town that was largely populated by goblins up until very recently, right? So because it's recently repopulated, we have to go through the process of like re-earning our state in dwarven society, I guess? Why is there so much goblins? So ancient Greece got taken over by goblins. I conquered it back with the other fort that I made. And then reclaimed ancient Greece. And now that I've reclaimed ancient Greece with Moonwalk dwarves, all of the, I guess, dwarves from ancient Greece are now, or the dwarves that I sent here are now here from ancient Greece. But on top of that, additionally, when I reclaimed ancient Greece, all of the goblins that had moved in are now part of this fortress. So I'm going to make a goblin army, and we're going to invade goblins with goblins. Now we can have our vengeance in this life and the next. That's not from like 300, but work with me here. Why are clay jugs tools? I just don't worry about it and don't use anything that needs clay jugs. That's my advice. So this goblin is technically hostile. Let's see if we can go in the room with it. Probably, but I don't actually know. But they're also like, with the exception of, yeah, they don't care. Should I just make own the hostile ones? What should I do, chat? Like make own and expel them, maybe? Because I don't actually know what I should do with them. I mean, that would take a very long time to be relevant. I mean, goblins don't need alcohol, so that's kind of fun. They also don't need to sleep, so that's also kind of fun. I wonder what their family trees are like, actually. Okay, that's unfortunate. I was just thinking it would be kind of neat if they still had like goblin masters that they were aware of. Why don't I just turn this bottom level into a tavern? Because this is no longer the Spartan challenge fort. I've got these temples up here, so. Oopsies, wrong material. That's 74 bricks. Just use those. What kind of gods do they worship? They're not religious, generally. Yeah, they're not religious. Yeah, it doesn't look like they have any religion. What I'm fascinated by is how they all have the unmet need to fight. Which is actually kind of awesome. finding some sort of metal up here. Or put them in a sealed part of the fort. I was just going to put them into, like, a giant military, basically. Was kind of what I was thinking. I mean, how old are most of them? 22. Oh, these are all... Oh, you're 123. I was going to say, these are all young goblins. No, they're not. You're a surgeon, though. Oopsies. Just a novice. The thing, like, because the goblins are, like, basically living in a dictatorship, I kind of get the vibe that goblins don't need to worship gods because, like, you know, the guy in charge is an elder god, kind of, usually, so at least that's just kind of the vibe I've always gotten from goblins. Like, when a demonic entity is running your faction, like, who needs a god? Crafts Dwarf Guild Hall. Fun, 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 fun. Except... And as always, you can name dwarves in here, chat. Can we send goblins out to kidnap units? We're still dwarves, so they're basically just weird dwarves that don't get martial trances. So no, I don't have any new abilities. We're still just dwarves. Although something I am going to do... Oh man, I was about to say I'm going to send out a messenger and go do stuff, but I don't think I actually have a messenger. No. Dang it! Happiest goblin. I think they're all just neutral because they're all technically new citizens. But, oopsies. I could just type in goblin. It seems this old boy here, Errol. Do you just want me to call you Snail? Snail? These dwarves are green, I see. Very green dwarves. I don't know what the Wolverine did, but I assume it deserved it. A Wolverine just did the most Wolverine thing possible and just challenged the entire fort. Seems like the Glassmaker kicked it. But who got the kill? Yeah. Moreb killed the Wolverine. Sorry, but you've now dismantled the X-Men. All right. Where was I? He lives an orderly life, organized and neat, and feels strong urges and seeks short-term rewards, and is incredibly brave in the face of looming danger, perhaps a bit foolhardily. He's quick to form negative views about things and is quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture, and he can easily fall in love or develop positive feelings. He tends to be swayed by emotional appeals, and he likes to take it easy. He generally is quite confident of his abilities when undertaking specific ventures, and he often feels nervous, and he tends to share his own experiences and thoughts with others, and doesn't mind a little tumult and, of course, discord in day-to-day living, and does not go out of his way to help others. He tends to be a little wasteful when working on projects, and generally acts impartially, and, of course, is rarely moved to mercy, and likes a little excitement now and then. He dreams of raising a family, and personally, he likes stoneware, topaz, white-browed gibbon leather, naff fabric, warhammers, amulets, cougars for their cunning, and the sound of the brand of gold, and when possible, prefers to consume sloth bear and banded knifefish and papaya wine and honeybee honey, and white millet flour and olives, and absolutely hates jumping spiders. And he has a very long beard, which goblins don't have beard sprites. But he is bearded. I don't really know how to feel. Cougar the animal, not the other type of cougar. The game doesn't know what the other type of cougar is. No, I mean, he's a goblin. Sad SLH. But it's grown on you? It's grown on me, too. The thing that I don't like about it, Old Man Sass, is that when they're holding something in their hand, it mirrors the sprite, so they're swapping from left-handed to right-handed with their pick. I don't like that. But aside from that, I also, it's growing on me very fast. Yeah, well, I mean, technically I'm still playing as dwarves, right? But technically, yes. I'm going to force this goblin to join me. Just because they're going to cause me issues if I don't. And we're already doing shenanigans. New dwarf lore, they're ambidextrous, but it says in their description that they're using their left or they're using their right hand. The game's very specific about that. Okay, so the first guild is going to be a farmer's guild. Which is just going to be for guild members. And it goes away. I like how we don't actually know the value of it at all. Because I don't have anybody to tell me the value of it, which is kind of hysterical. In the line of royal succession, that's actually like pretty kind of common. Pretty kind of common is a sentence that I just made up. Yes, I mean, like, when I made that video, if I did this while the game was paused, it thought that everything that wasn't a dwarf was moving, which maybe exposes a little bit about how this game does moves the screen around, but so it would make them do the disco dance, which was weird. Multiple layers, like they would just jump from higher layers up, but now they move smoothly. The one thing that's like still not great is this. Which is when you're following dwarves, they jump like that. And they also added sprite flipping, so the sprites now, flip directions based on the direction that they're moving. I think I like it significantly more for crowds than anything else. Let's actually not do this. Do something else with that later. I mean, probably by whenever you start your next fort, it'll have been patched again. There's a couple people that have been adding to it pretty consistently, so it is also just completely open and completely free to fork and modify and do whatever you want with. So, if just as a statement once again, just go look up DF hack smooth movement script on, it's the first thing that comes up. And if you are a programmer with some know-how, I encourage you to go help improve it if this is something you're interested in. Collect clay. Just do that on repeat. Yeah, okay. You love open source software? It's nice. It's such a smooth operator, yes. Oh, no. There's so many of them all in one tree. And a Crundle is just fucking murking them. That's really funny. That's very funny. The reptile men down there. I thought my dwarves were fighting with them potentially. I was like, oh, that's bad. How is that tree still standing? Aren't reptile people pretty small? I was like, is that an aqua? No, there's just literally one tile of water above that. I was like, what the shit? Is that really an aquifer? There's no way. There's no way! Every day I'm crundling. Let's do that. And that. Perfect. I have no idea. I mean, that's something that I would love to see improved. I mean, this is a script that I hope gets cleaned up to the point, because it was originally vibe coded, right? So in order for it to be able to be added to DF hack, it has to have that code removed. So as I understand it, like the way the Smooth Movement project is working right now is they're like in the process of cleaning it up so that they can get it added to Dwarf to DF hack. So like rewriting it and making it, because like the DF hack doesn't exactly want the AI disclosure on Steam. That would be real bad. So if this gets added into DF hack, it would need to be completely rewritten, which is, as I understand it, what they're doing at the minute. It's, well, I mean, it's more than a proof of concept at this point, because there's 2 other contributors that are cleaning it up and making it easier to maintain and all that. So it's through the proof of concept stage, I'd say, at this point. Let's just get walls built in back there. But I don't know. What I want to see is I want to see what the demand for this plugin is after I use it for a bit. And if it changes the amount of traffic that I get. That's what I'm looking to see. At least yesterday, shout outs to the folks on YouTube, because there was more people watching on YouTube yesterday than there was like on the 20th anniversary of Dwarf Fort, and I'm convinced that it has nothing to do with the fact that I started a new fort yesterday. Because it was like abnormally high even for a new fort day. Lime answer. Oh, that's fine. Quick save. Can do. In-game traffic? Oh, no, I'm talking about, like, views. Because I'm... Basically, the reason I'm using this plugin is, one, I think it's kind of neat. But my actual goal is to kind of prove to Kitfox and, like, Tarn and Putnam that this is something that I think is worth working on and developing as part of the main game, and not just a DF hack plugin. Because one of the biggest challenges for me as somebody who's making content for Dwarf Fortress is audience stagnation in long term. So things that help the game sell better and do better directly benefits me, right? Because, like, this is my bread and butter, this game. And nobody likes margarine. So, basically, I'm, like, trying to build a case that I think that this is a feature that's would be worth putting time into to help the game find more new players. Basically, is the way I see it. That's why I'm using this. Even though it's kind of janky right now and, like, definitely needs work. I hope that me covering it helps make the people who are working on it stay inspired to keep working on it. And I know that the person who started this Smooth Movement project did post on, like, did tell me in DMs on Reddit that, like, you can't play without it now. And, you know, I'm very pro anything in Dwarf Fortress that makes it easier for people to watch this game, because the easier it is for people to watch this game, the better I do, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with this plugin at the moment. New guild hall, Metalsmith's Guild. Except this one I will actually make for citizens. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. Macon, let's grab you. And you, let's build this out, because this is just going to be a tavern. Because there are no rules against partying in a dwarven goblin society. In fact, I think it's probably encouraged. Does it make combat look more interesting? I think it makes it easier to follow. There are some clips on the channel of combat, but I haven't seen any big sieges yet. Hopefully we'll get some of those in this fort. But I haven't seen any of that yet, personally. Where did all the obsidian come from? The hillside that I dug out? This used to all be a mountain. This is a fortress that I was building a few days ago. I did lose one stream worth of progress on it, though, which is fine. I'm not too bummed about that. But because it is owned by goblins, or was taken over by goblins, I was able to reclaim it, and now I have this massive goblin population, which is kind of dope. Oh, you know what I should do? I should make infinity stockpiles. What are you loading? Just metal ore? Metal or not. Let's also go assign these, because I don't have a manager just yet, which is a pain in the butt. So this in here. Okay, you go there. And then this back here can be the last guild hall. Can be the Craftsdwarf's Guild. Volcanoes usually have more obsidian, yeah. But this isn't a volcano. For whatever that's worth. Like, this is just a perfectly normal fortress. I completely agree, Zedis. Really is charming. Okay, so this down here can be a dining hall. Oopsies. Up here. I think I might make these into doors. And this lower half can be a inn/tavern. Let's just forbid that for now. Get in there, dwarves. I wonder. Skills, knowledge. Okay. No, they don't know a bunch of other culture stuff. It wasn't a single person, Anbrin, Yun. Are you... If you're not in an ad, I'll finish my sentence, but... It was 2 people. And then the last 4 years has been, like, 6. 7? 8? Well, two musicians, Zach and Tarn, Putnam, and then over time it's been different artists, but right now it's 2 artists. What's the benefit of mixing together the dining hall and tavern like this? Dwarves will automatically go to the highest value dining hall to eat food, and I can assign them both to the same tavern, and they get different happy thoughts from eating in a dining hall than they do eating just at a table. So if it's a dining hall, they get happy thoughts about eating in a dining hall. If it's not a dining hall, then they just, you know, they don't get that happy thought. So you get more happy thought variety is why you would do it this way. Swap the positioning of these. Of all of the things that you could hate, it seems like a silly one to hate, personally, but live your life, I suppose. I didn't even do it consciously. I'm not even joking. Will they eat there instead? Well, okay, so the order of operations is dining hall first, unclaimed chair and table second. So they'll just go to, they'll go to the place, chair and table that they own, either office or dining hall first, dining hall then office, or they'll go to the highest one that they don't own, or they will go to the closest open table and chair, or they will just eat where they picked up their food. So I guess no, not unless there's like a table and chair in the middle of like where they're eating, if that makes sense. I mean, I just lost the game. Goblier. What's up, Caesar salad? For some reason, you were under the impression that chairs and tables in a tavern meeting area had a similar effect as dining halls? No, they don't. I mean, a dining hall can be a tavern. And a tavern can be a dining hall. Like, this dining hall is part of the tavern. This is also part of the tavern. So this is all the tavern. But they get separate thoughts when they eat at the dining hall versus in the tavern. Let's just make a zinc chest. Furniture. Zinc. Chest. Furniture. Zinc. Chest. We'll make 2 of them. And I can assign tavern keepers now. Ain't that fun? Ranger Rick is now a tavern keeper. Man, if somebody like missed the last week of streams and then they tune in today, they're going to be really confused. Like, real confused. Basically, everything I complained about has been fixed and they added more features. Although there's one new issue which wasn't there initially, which is if you follow, that happens. So hopefully that gets fixed, but that's basically it. There's occasionally some screen tearing on larger sprites. Sage. But it's neat. So you're just going with the flow. Oh, that's fair. Smoking top hat. Although I'm not sure what's more confusing: a fortress that's like 80% goblins, or a fortress where none of the dwarves have shirts. I think that none of the dwarves having shirts might actually be more confusing. Today I learned that administrators have demands. I guess I have to make catapult parts. Dwarves, please elect me a mayor. Please. Oh, I also need a trading depot. I kind of wish that Rum Rusher was in the chat right now, because Rum Rusher has done this before. I was talking about it the other day. Siege Workshop. Who's upset? It's my tavern keeper. Go figure. Oh, there we go. We got dancing. That's kind of awesome looking. Creating a new world and even use the wiki to understand the fancy map metrics? Hell yeah, dude. I wonder what dance they're doing. So Cyclopean Glosses is a partner dance originating in the boat of seizing. The form guides dancers during an improvised performance. Now, this is an interesting thing, because these goblins now know poetic forms. The dwarves are teaching them these songs and dances. So they are actually going to learn these skills, because they all were like complete blank slates when we started. But now that they're in here, they're going to learn the skills of like how to do these dances and play these songs. So I'm seeing a little bit of like screen tearing on this dwarf's top knot. Well, soon you can say that more literally once there's magic in Dwarf Fortress. Looking forward to it. It really is. Yeah, look at that. Somebody clip this, please. Like, this is kind of awesome to witness. I'm sure they'll dance more, but let's give them another go. I just can't wait to see it, 404. Which means that, like, if they ever stop updating it, we're all screwed, so they better add it to the base game. Otherwise, Cortical Gaming specifically can never play without this mod now. I still think that, like, they really need to figure out some way so that dwarves don't mirror entirely when they swap hands. Because that does kind of make me sad. So cool. Okay, let's just zip up here. Oh. Oh, I see. That's fine. Blocks. Clay. Let's just use clay for the rim. For the edges. Because this is going to be the last of the guild halls. Thanks, Romanoid. That is a spider design. Yes, it's also a tower. So it's got multi-levels. Pretty nifty if you ask me. I wonder. 5 squads assigned. No squads are assigned. It's really funny, actually. Let's just make bone amulets. Let's make bone bolts. Because I know I've got a bunch of bones lying around. A big old demon jumping spider. The demon part perplexes me. I don't know how you intend for me to, one, find a demon that specifically happens to be a jumping spider, and two, how you intend for me to tame a untamable creature. Although, like, jumping spiders are very underwhelming in Dwarf Fortress because they don't spin webs. Like, they're not web spinners, which is really funny. I haven't seen a giant jumping spider in Dwarf Fort in forever. Also, for anybody who hasn't played Dwarf Fortress in a minute, Dwarf Fortress doesn't currently include any, or they disabled the need to visit family or spend time with family need. So dwarves are not going to get upset over lack of familial interaction. The dwarf redemption is up if anybody wants to claim a dwarf or a goblin. Oh, absolutely, Volkov. Absolutely. Although I kind of don't recommend it. Mostly because, like, cave spider webs are extraordinarily common and ubiquitous and literally fucking everywhere. So I kind of actually don't recommend it. And also, combine that with the fact that cave spider silk webs are literally everywhere. But on top of that, not only are cave spider silk webs literally everywhere, but you can't sell Forgotten Beast clothing or cloth, and I don't know why. I don't know when or how or why that was implemented like that is, or if that's even intentional, but it's not a thing that you can do, and it's kind of a pain. You'll take one? What do you want? Goblin? Dwarf? Glorf? Badorf? Gobbo? Okay. The happiest goblin right now is Alban, who is now 404. And Alban learned something about furnace operation. She has an overinflated sense of self-worth and feels strong urges and seeks short-term rewards. She is very greedy and sometimes cruel and would never pass up the chance for a good fistfight. Seeks out exciting and adventurous situations and is quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture. She does not go out of her way to help others and is quick to form negative views about things. She is somewhat quarrelsome, though she is conflicted by this for more than one reason. She could be considered rude, and she tends to not be swayed by emotional appeals. She is quick to anger and rarely happy or enthusiastic, values parties and merrymaking and in the abstract, and she has a sense of humor and tends to not reveal personal information. She tries to do things correctly each time and stiffens up when she's surprised. She dreams of crafting a great work of art and personally values a harmonious existence. It's not very goblin of you. Like shale, copper, indigo, tourmaline, as well as linen fabric and remy paper, as well as grates. The words of the periwinkle of teachers and the sound of the brand of gold and the sight of the mirth of saturnity, and when possible prefers to consume cranberry wine, yak, and giant two-humped camels, milk, and cowpeas, and hates leeches. Fun fact. Sounds like your ex. You dated a goblin? It's crazy, man. I will do that as soon as I can actually assign nobles. Oh, also, this one worships a deity. The god of death. Checks out. You'd think that they'd be fond of the god of murder, but guess not. Honestly, death and murder, probably pretty good friends. Sure, they get along just fine. They're just agnostic to the cause of it. Speaking of death, I watched Obsession last night. Pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. Grah! I have a goblin fort. Okay, there are dwarves in it, but there's a lot of goblins. Like, a lot of goblins. Look at all these goblins. It's ridiculous. This was a fort that I was building, and I retired it because I was tired of it. And then the goblins took over it. I started this fort down here, which is Moonwalk. And then I managed to conquer this location. And now that I've conquered it, I reclaimed it. And now I have a fortress that's like 50-50 dwarves and goblins. Which is kind of awesome. Kind of awesome. But were you astronautsing today, or were you doing something else? How do you feel about the Obsession ending? I don't want to spoil Obsession. I really like that movie. I don't really have too many complaints about that movie. So, simply put, I liked the ending. But I don't want to spoil that movie, so. It's one of those things that you kind of need to just luck into. Like, it's just, when you notice an opportunity for this, you just kind of have to grab it. But I don't know, like, yeah, I don't want to say more about Obsession because I don't want to spoil that movie, so. Good movie. Thumbs up. What makes it possible? What needs to happen is you need to have a fortress that you were playing. That fortress then needs to get conquered by goblins, or humans, or elves. Someone that isn't your faction. And then what needs to happen is you need to conquer it back, which we did, and then reclaim it. That's how you make this happen. You raised it? I mean, you could still reclaim it, but it would just be empty. You wouldn't have the population. I demanded surrender and occupy. Your internet died while you were away? Yeah, we got a dancing clip. I don't know if anybody actually clipped how I did this, but maybe I could like... It's probably too long of a descriptor. But thank you very much for the clip. 'Tis a good clip. I also saw the trailer for the Resident Evil movie that Zach Kreger is making, which I'm kind of super stoked about and very excited for. Because I really liked Weapons, and I also really liked, well, I enjoyed Barbarian. I didn't like it as much as Weapons, but I did enjoy Barbarian, so... He went searching for shotgun shells. I mean, I watched the trailer and I was like, you know, this is fitting the vibe, that's for sure. So, although I will say I am a horrible person who unironically enjoys the shit Resident Evil movies. So, I'm not totally to be trusted. But I really liked Zach Kreger's last movies, and so I will give this one a bash. Looking forward to it. It's weird to look forward to movies, hey? Okay, so we're just gonna real quick make just a rocks stockpile. So we can get this cleaned up because it's something for the goblins to do at the very least while they're just kind of hanging out. And you're going to load Otherstone. It was one of the coolest things that you ever saw in a movie. I think I saw Cube first, and Cube does that too, so... I think, like, the person getting sliced into pieces in a laser room is, like, kind of classic schlock horror trope. Let's just let them work on this. Thumbs up. It still has a few quirks, but I mean, I think my opinion matters a little less than the audience. Like, I think the way chat feels about it matters a bit more to me than how I feel about it. I don't mind the game either way, right? Like, I don't mind looking at Dwarf Fortress with the smooth moving on. I don't mind it off. Like, it's still just Dwarf Fortress to me. So if nothing else, it's like not offensive, I guess. But what matters to me is like, does it make the game easier to follow? And so far, that's the impression I'm getting. Have you ever seen Ghost Ship? No, I don't think so. Doesn't ring a bell. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that earthenware had a different color. Huh! To rough clay. That's funny. The more you know. Let's actually just send an obsidian for the middle of this. What the dwarves are doing in larger groups. Ironically, like the only time I think the only time I have trouble following it is in chaotic combat sequences, or when somebody like ducks downstairs. Like that sometimes throws me off, because like when they're just jumping from tile to tile, it sometimes looks like they just vanish if they go down or upstairs. Because it's a very different movement, a dwarf disappearing versus a dwarf sliding from tile to tile, I think it's way clearer because you see them go up to the stairs and then plop in. Which I do actually think that makes that clearer. All right, let's just get rid of these earthenware blocks and we'll just replace this all with clay. Just to keep it a little bit more consistent. I mean, they're very different games that can be enjoyed independently of one another. I think what hurts me is just when they're endlessly compared forever ad nauseum forever, which kind of drives me nuts because of how different they are. I think that most people can probably enjoy both games and get different things out of them because they kind of scratch different itches, in my opinion. I mean, I've said this for a while. It's like how Civilization and StarCraft can both exist independently of one another because they both, you know, kind of come from strategy, but the actual process of playing those games is so categorically different that, like, you know, you can enjoy both for very different reasons. And that's largely how I feel about this same discussion, but I just want Dwarf Fortress to be more accessible to more people. Because I do think that there's something genuinely cool about this game. And like I had this quote that I vividly remember one of my mods going, "You're nuts, but I think you might be onto something there." Before the Steam release of Dwarf Fortress came out, because someone was asking me like, "Who is Dwarf Fortress for?" Right? Because I was hypothesizing that, like, I don't necessarily think that if you are obsessed with the gameplay of RimWorld or really, really like RimWorld, that Dwarf Fortress is necessarily for you, because Dwarf Fortress is such a different game. And back when the game was still ASCII, like pre-Steam, like a lot of people didn't fully get that, because a lot of people who, even people watching me at the time, didn't know how to play the game, so kind of just compared the two because of how the games, of how RimWorld marketed itself, and just kind of rolled with that without really thinking about it too much, which is fair. And the result, I think, is that now that like more people can play it, I think like this, the take that I've had for a while now maybe would make a little bit more sense to people, which is I think that Dwarf Fortress is like closer to Stardew Valley or like a vibey chill sandbox than like a difficult strategy game, even though it gets that reputation. I am also intrigued by Streets of Fortuna, and I've played Streets of Fortuna, so maybe I know too much about Streets of Fortuna. I shouldn't say anything, but I am also intrigued by Streets of Fortuna. It's very much, holy shit, this game's in development right now. Not ready for, like, even close to early access, but RimWorld is intentionally hard, yeah? RimWorld is significantly harder than Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is more complicated in some ways, but, like, it's a much easier game. The Eternal RimWorld DF fake feud. I don't know if it's necessarily fake, but I do have beef against RimWorld for one thing specifically, and that was they renamed their hardest difficulty to Losing is Fun. They should change it back to Extreme. I genuinely think that's a little disrespectful, personally. Like, you took the slogan of a video game and made it your hardest difficulty. Like, that's just mean and, like, kind of rude. Exactly, yeah. Total Warlock. A little too on the nose? It's so on the nose has been smashed backwards into the face and is in an unrecognizable mass. I just don't like it because when you type in Losing is Fun now, instead of getting a link to the DF Wiki on any search engine, you get a trillion RimWorld Let's Plays. And I actually really dislike that. It just kind of ruined SEO for a lot of different kinds of Dwarf Fortress content, like immediately, overnight, and it blows. We're going to get hit by some ads in about 30 seconds, so I will pause the game when the ads hit, so you guys won't miss anything. The best easy mode was Can I Play Daddy? I always liked the descriptions of Halo difficulties as well. Like the descriptions of easy versus heroic were very funny. Not like the names of them specifically, but like just the descriptions of them were hysterical. BJ and the baby get up, yeah. Oh, fair enough, Blue. Well, that's good. What search engine are you using out of curiosity? Or are you using like Sear or something? Find Toho difficulties descriptions I'm using? Huh. Smooth movement won't change your frame rate at all. Unless you have a graphics card with a singular megabyte of processing power. Like, we're talking about adding single-digit numbers of frames to the movement of a sprite. That's done on the graphics card, not the CPU. The CPU is where bottlenecks happen in Dwarf Fortress, which can make your frame rate shift. Not really on the ground. Like, there's probably no computer in existence that would actually have trouble running Dwarf Fortress's graphics. So you're inserting individual frames, which is like nothing. So smooth movement won't change your performance, period. In regards to that question in YouTube chat. But I'm just going to go double check my statement on the losing is fun thing. So if I go to YouTube and I type in losing is fun, I get the Dwarf Fortress lyric video and then a trillion Adam versus anything videos. Or Adam versus everything. Kenshi, Rimworld. So this is what I'm getting. When I type in losing is fun, I get Dwarf Fortress and then Moneyball, which is weird, followed by Rimworld, and then nonsense. If I go to Google and type in losing is fun, I get a Dwarf Fortress thread. Okay, I do get the DF Wiki again. And then a billion RimWorld YouTube videos. If I go to DuckDuckGo, this has changed since I last looked. And type in losing is fun. I don't really want to show my web browser for this, so you'll just have to believe me. Once again, I get the same two Reddit threads, and then... okay, more Dwarf Fortress related things. DuckDuckGo is more on point than Google is. So that's cool. I don't know about Kagi, though. Because I don't actually have an account for Kagi right now. So using Bing or DuckDuckGo, you will get better results when trying to find Dwarf Fortress by typing losing is fun. So that's kind of neat. You know, this is why I kind of don't like this discussion. Genuinely. Because I kind of disagree that it's not intentional, Star Legend God. RimWorld is a game that's very heavily focused on money. It's the reason their DLCs are so expensive. And that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But one of the results of Hercules, the dog has been missing for a week. Oh no, that's a shame. One of the results of trying to dominate a market is stamping out competition. You have returned. You managed to pick up something you've been wanting for extremely cheap. What'd you get? I don't know when you were here last, Donut, but we've gone back to ancient Greece because I have an army of goblins now. I conquered ancient Greece and we have reclaimed it because this. The problem is I have no nobles. So working on that. Once I can get nobles, which will be whenever they elect a mayor, which should happen in spring. Then we can continue building this fort. You have to add it yourself. It's not in DF Hack by default yet because it's still got vibe coded things in it that need to be removed. But it'll probably get added at some point because that's the active goal, as far as I can tell. An enclosure for your 3D printer, you got it for 10. Hell yeah. It's a big deal. Bing returning better results than Google. How dreadful AI and SEO have gotten. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Bing used to be really, really good at finding niche porn. That was the one thing Bing was really good at when Bing was new. It's finding very oddly specific pornography. But that was kind of it. Now it's like kind of not terrible, actually. Just as a search engine, which is weird. Specifically related to video games. What actually... The reason Bing was good at that is actually because their filters were terrible. So, like, Google is pretty good at filtering stuff out. Or at least back in the day it was. It was pretty good at, like, making sure that, for the most part, you wouldn't have, like, stuff given or sent to you that, like, you weren't searching for. So, like, if you go to Google and you type in, or, like, this was back when Bing first came out. Okay, so this is years ago. If you went to Google and typed in Master Chief GIF, you would probably just get GIFs of Master Chief on Google. But if you typed in Master Chief GIF on Bing, it would be entirely source filmmaker videos of Master Chief and probably Cortana. And it's because they were really, really, really bad at filtering that stuff out. And there's one industry in the world that's really, really good at SEO, and that is the adult industry. Like, they're extremely good at it. And because Bing's filters sucked for a really long time, and they were bad at filtering out stuff that you weren't intentionally looking for, it ended up being very, very good at finding that kind of stuff, which I think to this day is very, very fucking funny. Was that ever real, though? Did they ever care about not being evil? I kind of doubt that, personally. That Google ever cared about not being evil. All right, let's go over to here and assign this as a craft store skill before I completely forget and fudge it. All right, you. Guild Hall. Craft stores. There we go. Install a little beaded curtain or something. Sorry, that's just a... I appreciate that reference. I don't know. Okay, I need empty food storage items. Rock. Pot. Repeat. Rock. Pot. Repeat. Let's stop making the bone amulets. Let's also just make this a bunch bigger, so that everybody can go help, or a lot more dwarves can go help. I wonder how many wheelbarrows I have. A bunch. Okay, so let's just do wheelbarrows 20. Let's go to wherever this was. Wheelbarrow. 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 Pro tip, by the way, if you want to try and force a goblin fortress like this, a way that you could probably do it that would probably work is find a faction that is near a bunch of goblins that's actively at war with a bunch of goblins. Step one. Just start making fortresses. So just do an embark, retire, do an embark, retire, do an embark, retire, do an embark, retire, until one of them has been taken over by goblins. And then start another fortress that's nearby that. And then assign all 7 of those dwarves to a squad immediately and send them to the location where the goblins are and demand surrender and occupy. Don't attack them, just demand surrender and occupy. And then reclaim it. That would probably work, is a way that you could force this to happen quicker. Also, if somebody could clip that, that'd be groovy. So are these goblins just coexisting with dwarves? They literally are dwarven culture. Like, if you look at their names are all dwarvish language. They have dwarven ethics. They're citizens of the Boat of Seizing, a dwarven civilization. So, yeah, they're coexisting. The only main difference between dwarves and goblins is goblins don't need alcohol to get through the working day, and they are worse in combat. But aside from that, they are functionally identical. Oh, also they're immortal, so they can't die of old age. I don't think so. Romanoid, I think you're right, yeah. You made a 500-year-old world the other day for S&Gs. I don't know what that is, but okay. And it was wiped off the earth by weremoles that came from a traveling band of goblin singers and dancers. That's incredible. They literally had a mole. That is one case where you should, in fact, kill the mole. And ignore the ruling of never kill a mole. We are running out of drinks again. Let's get this rolling again. Oh, for shits and giggles. Okay, I've never seen S&Gs before. I was like, what is this like? Is this like the S&G 500? Save end games? Top 500 most valuable wilds? You see quantum storage, you happy? Glad to make you happy. I do also love the fact that the highest population this fortress ever had when I was running it just as a fortress was 84. And I think I have almost that many goblins in this fort now. Oh, fair, totally fair. But that's just a new one for me. I learned a turn of phrase that allegedly, as the person informed me, is used by vets, which is "ain't doing right." ADR, which is like unwell, basically. Which was also a new one to me, so. Goblins cannot become cave adapted. Fisher Dwarf, however, has withdrawn from society. Strange mud. I was gonna say furnace operator? Hell yeah. Grabbed copper bars. Well, that's disappointing. Works secretly. Oh, okay. Good luck, Dwarf. I also just realized how many picks I have, so... Another functionality of Advanced Agriculture mod is that you can order a whole barrel of specific booze. Is this a mod that requires DF hack, or is it separate? Like, is it standalone? Instead of them filling the barrel like 20%, if not less? Well, that's interesting. Coolio. And now I'm like wondering out loud, how do I title this stream on YouTube? I'll figure that out. Like for the VODs, like not for the actual live stream part here. Love you. Do I think I have a doctor. I don't know if they're... Okay, so I don't have a chief medical dwarf. Because... I don't have any nobles. Let's see if I can still make a hospital, technically. Or if I still have a hospital, technically. I do. Yeah, okay, so I can't officially do that. But I do have 2 dwarves that have doc-related skills, if you would like them. Rather, I have a goblin and a dwarf. It is no longer Sparta. Yes. Someone in chat was like, said that I should do a challenge where I never assign a manager, and I guess that you're kind of getting that here. Esm the Limp, who isn't dead but did move away, has an utterly languid pace of, and is who she's married to. She has an utterly languid pace of easy living and disdains even the best advice of associates and family, relying strictly on her own counsel. She is very quick to anger and cracks easily under pressure, tends to form only tenuous emotional bonds with others, is moved by art and natural beauty, and is troubled by this since she dislikes the natural world. She doesn't often experience strong cravings or urges, and she tends to be a little tight with resources when working on projects. She is somewhat quarrelsome, though she is conflicted by this for more than one reason, and does not fall in love and rarely develops positive feelings, is stubborn, isn't given to flights of fancy, needs alcohol to get through the working day, and doesn't really care about anything anymore. Dreams of mastering a skill, and personally strongly believes that a peaceful and ordered society without disease is best, and values good craftsmanship and values sacrifice. Likes rhyolite and silver as well as moonstone and the color chocolate, bolts, coins, and cows for their haunting moos, in the words of the adoration of reason. And it's early spring. When are we going to get that fucking mare? The sound of the beige style, when possible, prefers to consume apricot wine and hates cave spiders. And, like I said, you are married to Esm the Limp, who doesn't live here anymore. And you have a daughter named Double, who's pissed. One dwarf is getting upset. Holy shit, money! Cortical, thank you very much for the first notification of money in 1 hour. Steady Yeti. Actually, I think I missed that one. Re-upped for 6 months 1 hour ago. So shout out to Steady Yeti. And thanks for the 5-pack. That's the first gifted subs in 4 hours. Appreciate you. The Youthful Rim. is, on one hand, a pretty good name for a tavern keeper. On the other hand, it sounds like an innuendo for something. It just looks like normal DF to you now. Dwarf Fortress just kind of looks like Dwarf Fortress. It moves pretty uniquely, even with the smooth movement on. Sodel the Fisher Dwarf has created a copper mace and offers it to the Exalted Tome. I don't have any. That's just a random gem, so let's put it over here. Mace. There you go. Kind of trying to get the dwarves embedded first. Goblins can have bedrooms second. Irrelevant. That's not very irrelevant, but thank you very much for the 10-pack. That's very kind of you. Also, I just have to shout out the last person in that list of gifted subs. Shrek NATO. That's an incredible username. Like, 5 out of 5. Great. Love it. A+. Okay, you over there, I'm just going to get rid of you. You, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm sorry, why is there blood everywhere? What do you mean my elephant killed a dog? Wait, is this not my... Oh, this isn't my elephant. Well, I can't kill it, so hopefully... it doesn't commit any more crimes against my puppers. It explains why the dog is missing. Yeah, that's true. Because I need the military to be usable before I can do anything with that. It did, in fact, kill Hercules. It was one tough elephant. Also, the Metalsmiths Guild now needs a Grand Guild Hall. I don't know what the value of it is, but I'll accept it. Kind of needs quite a few. Quite a bit of an upgrade, but that's okay. I got 8 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 6, 7, 8. Duh. There's 9 of those. 1, 2, 3. Sweet. And then you. Let's throw that in. Oh, never mind. Don't actually have an empty box. Instead, I don't have that. I don't have these. I don't think I have any of these. No. I need to make a display. So let's go down to... I don't need to. That's just what I'm going to do. You... pedestal. Was this not the Metalsmiths Guild? Yeah, it was. Okay, there we go. I was going to say, it took a second, but why didn't it go up? Goblins, you say? Yeah, and you're in charge. It's a long story, Greg, and then some. So, you were running a squad. I demanded surrender and occupy of Ancient Greece. You succeeded. I expelled all the named dwarves from the fort we started yesterday to this fort, and then retired that fort and reclaimed this fort. That's what you missed. And now I have a faction of dwarves living with goblins. The problem is I have no nobles because we're technically a vassal. So I just have an administrator. I don't have a manager. I don't have a broker. I don't have a bookkeeper. I guess I don't have the ability to trade, hey? I can't assign messengers, and I have no military. However, they should elect a mayor at some point, and that should fix that. But I think I need 40 dwarves, which I assume I have 40 dwarves? I don't actually know. I must have 40 dwarves. So they should elect a mayor at some point, hopefully. When you do this reclaim situation? I mean, yeah. Although due to some save weirdness, I did lose like half of the last stream of this particular fort. But it's cool that it's back, I guess. Let's go furnaces and just say kiln. Let's make them out of andesite, because why not? Let's go over here. Get rid of. Wait, no, not you. That's a smelter. I need you. Let's get rid of that. Let's cry a little bit, and actually, let's just fucking cancel this because it's clearly not working. However, trading depot. Where the heck? I guess. Okay, whatever. Theoretically. Although the problem is if you abandon or succumb to a siege, they just rout the place. So they would have to take over it in the overworld when I'm not playing. Which is kind of fucked, actually. Although it would be really neat if elves with, like, I don't know, a huge population of hamster people or something conquered you. And then you reclaim it, it's like, oops, all bearmen or something. You know, honestly, I don't know the answer to that, Moreb. It needs to be more than 50 dwarves to elect a mayor, normally. I presume these are all fortress members. I know that off the bat, dwarves were asking to become members of society, or members of the faction. You know, maybe what I should do actually here is I should make Dragon then summon office. That's something I should do. So we're gonna go up to here. Are any of them children? No. I don't think. No, it's just dwarven children. But it wouldn't surprise me too much if we got goblin children. That actually occurs to me that I don't think I've ever actually seen a goblin baby since they added baby sprites. At least not in fort mode. Nothing is race locked, stuff is faction locked. So these goblins are technically part of a dwarven faction, meaning it's exactly the same as a normal fortress, functionally, arrow. Nothing is race locked, but it's faction locked. Yeah, so like, this is a dwarven civilization that just happens to have a large population of goblins. All these goblins have dwarven names, so are technically dwarves. How did it happen? Hey, chat, we're getting to the point now where you guys need to start explaining how it happened. Well, these are dwarven goblins. Goblins of dwarven culture, meaning they will do exactly the same things that any dwarves would. Silver Seth. Accurate enemy. You were sleeping, but if your dreams are believed, the goblins jumped over the river with giant poles. Of course they did. Yeah. Dwoblins. A+. Yes. I approve of that message. Okay, I'm just going to wait another 20 seconds for the ads to end. Greg, and then some. Thank you very much for the 5-pack. You're a very kind dude. Today has been a wee bit of a quiet day on the revenue side, so like up until those like last few gift subs I wasn't even, and they don't show my revenue just yet, but I wasn't even a quarter of the way to the daily minimum, so thank you. We're definitely past a quarter. Gonna be watching the VOD tonight. Cool. It's pretty like not exciting in like a video content perspective. It's basically just when I started the new fortress yesterday, I noticed that Ancientgrease had been taken over, and I just sent a squad to go conquer them. They did successfully. Once they demanded surrender and occupy, they occupied it. I retired the fortress, or I expelled all of the named dwarves from the other fortress to this fortress because it was technically a vassal, and you can do that when they're vassals. And then I retired Moonwalk and claimed Ancientgrease. Thanks for the sub, Alan. Thanks for checking out the gift. Appreciate you, man. They are the same as dwarf needs, except they don't need alcohol to get through the working day, so they're technically easier to manage, but they'll drink alcohol if it's available. To answer that question in YouTube chat. But they're virtually identical to the way dwarves work. Oh no, I'm not doing the Spartan challenge anymore. I stopped doing that challenge for specific reason. It like wasn't doable. So this went from being like a challenge fortress to a theme fortress. We rebranded. No one will ever know about the Starbucks that used to be in this building. Do not tell the new tenants that this used to be a Starbucks. And this is where you say, sir, this is a Wendy's. Doesn't matter. Come on, goblins. Bricks. 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 Staying shirtless is just tedious and not an issue, actually, for moods, turns out. I thought that was going to be a bigger problem than it ended up actually being. The thing that made the game like difficult was the like armor situation, basically, which is what I did away, which is what like, you know, we're doing away with. Being shirtless is whatever. I could keep them shirtless. I don't want to filter them. This is no longer a Hooters. It is now a Irish pub. And that getting your chest torn up does make your day a tad bad. Yeah, like it's just, I don't know. It was just going to be massive casualties forever until the fortress eventually fell over. Toady has mentioned wanting to improve a billion things about Dwarf Fortress in the future, but that doesn't really matter for the minute. Hi, Fong in YouTube chat. basically Stone Age 2. Sounds like a sequel to a movie. I like that Greg and then some is just like ecstatic with his life. Sorry, I keep on going to like make a table and chair and then like getting that screen thrown in my face and it makes me sad. Table. Throne. All right, now we're all the way up to here. You'd watch Stone Age 2? What about Stone Age 1? Not to be confused with Stoned Age. It's a very different movie. Office goes up here. Hold up. Where is your study? Did I assign that, or am I losing my mind? Okay. I must be losing my mind. Moonwalk got gobbled? Well, Moonwalk gobbled Ancient Greece, and then eloped Ancient Greece. You guys, we're talking about a movie that doesn't exist, right? And in my mind, we're talking about like year one. that movie with Jack Black and Michael Cera. All right, so you can have that, and then some other dwarf over here can have this. Maybe Bolter, because Bolter killed goblins in a past life. So no, Moonwalk is still technically alive, but because we are now back here after conquering the goblins that had taken it over, I now have this population of goblins, which is kind of rad. And we're teaching the goblins to dance, because the gobs can dance if they want to. They can leave their dwarfs behind. Something to that effect, anyway. It really, really kind of does, yeah. Greg and then some. It's like, makes the proof of concept clear, I guess. Okay, let's just go over here. Throw doors on. Which one is David Bowie? The one that you named David Bowie? Also, I just have to say that I think I just thought of another name for a sourdough starter if I ever split my starter. David Dowie. I'm gonna grab this and assign that mace. You're wondering if they're going to elect a goblin for mayor? It's possible. Actually, wouldn't surprise me too much if they did. Goblin is weak as all hell. What I want to know is, are they actually going to elect somebody mayor? Okay, well that gave me an extra 1,000 value. But yeah, that would be interesting if they elected a goblin as mayor. It'd be fun to say the least, but we'll see what ends up happening here. Because I'm not entirely convinced we'll actually get a mayor elected right now. I'll be honest. I'm a little worried, but we'll find out. Hopefully soon, and hopefully it'll mean that we will get a mayor quickly, efficiently, and without much fiddling and convulsion, because otherwise this is going to be a losing battle, because I won't ever be able to make a military. I'm a little worried about that, I guess, is what I should say. Just a little bit. Maybe like 10%. What about you, chat? Are you worried? I'll tell you something I'm not worried about. It's pie o'clock right now, so happy pie time. My clock on my desk just says 314. Well, I don't mean in real life, but no mayor, no worries, just goblins. Plenty of goblins. Well, what we lack in mayor, we make up for in goblin workforce. Good evening, Soapgoat. How are you? I have an army of goblins. Alright, well, my dumb administrator has ended a mandate. I really hope that he stops doing that. We haven't had any migrant waves just yet. And I will also note that if, like, none of this ends up working, worst case scenario, I reclaim the other fort. Surprise! It happened to Moonwalk. They're now called the Exalted Seductions. Well, rip Moonwalk. Moonwalk did in fact get goblined. It is true. These goblins move fast. There's a lot of them, dude. Like, a lot of them. Like, a whole lot of them. Just gonna engrave all that. Not fail this. People having meetings. I like how that it just has the purple noble roll. We have to reclaim it. I mean, Flip-flop fort. Put on your sandals, chat. Mandated more construction of certain... You want leggings and catapult parts? My god, you fucker. Okay, I will make this catapult. I need to name a goblin Gallywix. Is that goblin from something? Do you have a preferred goblin? Dog ate your flip-flops already? Is that a thing that dogs do? Because I have a vague memory of my parents' dog growing up shredding a set of flip-flops. Trade Prince of Goblins from WoW. Alright, sure. Guess I should find a boy gob. There's one. Die Pug. So, Die Pug never feels the slightest bit cheerful about anything and rarely looks on others with lust. Sorry, that's just kind of funny to me. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Hold on. I'll finish reading that in a sec. I just want to remember to do this. And rarely looks on others with lust. He is not the type to fall in love or even develop positive feelings. He is intellectually stubborn, rarely changing his mind during a debate regardless of its merits. He does not generally respond to emotional appeals. He is sometimes cruel. He dislikes helping others and could be considered rude. He is not inherently proud of his talents and accomplishments, and he is quite confident with others that have a different appearance or culture. He is quick to anger and occasionally overindulges. He lives a fast-paced life. He likes to brawl, and he has an active imagination. He likes a little excitement now and then and cracks his knuckles when he's angry. And he commonly winks as a form of greeting and is getting used to tragedy, like being taken over by the dwarves. He dreams of ruling the world and personally sees sacrifice as wasteful and foolish and doesn't value eloquence so much. Welcome to the fortress, Goblin. I mean, it's a very Zach Adams thing to write. Zach's writing is quite unique. Yeah, but generally you don't describe them as rarely looking on others. Okay, there's been people that have been ace in my life before. I've never heard one of them described as rarely looking on others with lust. Not trying to say that it's an incorrect descriptor. It's just weird wording, I guess. What? I ignored a guild hall? For the Lucy Company? What's the Lucy Company? No, I completed it. That's Sedge. Maybe I just took too long. Or maybe that's from like from the before times. I mean, it's outside of my realm of expertise, Soapgoat, so. You can always go back to Moonwalk and continue the military quest there. That's true. Yeah. Your Goblin King has been perpetually mayor. That's something that I think is really funny, is when you have a noble who has multiple positions. It's like, I'm the captain of the guard, the king, and the mayor, because fuck letting the rest of you make decisions. We call those a control freak. Let's just do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Down here. It's a bit of a mess, but we'll work with it. In this smooth mod version, if you follow a dwarf with the normal camera enabled, they stutter. Because they stutter. No, seriously, like if you follow a dwarf, it does this. And it looks kind of awful. I don't know if it's a bug, really. It just kind of seems like an oversight. Which I guess is sort of a bug, but unintended fugly. I was very excited for a second there, hoping that I was getting baby goblins, but nah. Shad. Sad, sad, sad. You can complain to the mayor directly without switching the persona. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you just need to mutter to yourself angrily. Well, we just need to keep hoping that the dwarves eventually elect a mayor. Otherwise, we are SOL. And frankly, I kind of don't want to like have to manually assign stuff forever. So here's hoping they get a move on. It's my biggest hope right now. While I try to get these dwarves and goblins bedroomed up. Here come all the goblins with all the bricks. I guess the other thing I could do is I can make a... about that, Clino. So I started a new fort yesterday. And this is technically a continuation of that, but it's also a reclaimed old fort. Because my old fort was taken over by goblins. I conquered the old fort, and then we just moved into the old fort with a bunch of goblins. So I have a population of like, I haven't actually counted, but it's like a page and a half of goblins in this fort. And then the other fort that I built is now owned by goblins again. But the problem is right now I only have an administrator, so I can't actually make a military right now or assign a manager or a broker or anything, so I'm just kind of hoping that the dwarves will have an election and elect a mayor. But, more like Goblin Fortress. Big titty Goblin GF? It's very geopodorfical at the moment. So I'm literally running repeating jobs. They don't have to be not fair. Also, in case anybody's wondering, after the gifted subs a couple minutes ago, we are now $30 31 US dollars away from the daily minimum. So fingers crossed we hit that. Fingers placed on top of one another in a generally cross shape pattern that we get an election and the dwarves elect a goblin or a dwarf. Honestly, at this point, I don't care. I just want to be able to assign them management. Bed. I have a GF. It's a goblin fort. Your very smelly dog, Rip. Hopefully the dog survives this horrifying traumatic event and doesn't get whatever is on it that smells all over your walls. And hopefully it doesn't inform all of your neighbors that you slaughter dogs for a living. Because sometimes dogs have a habit of accusing the bath giver of such crimes. Very loudly. I just want to know how many more goblins I need. Or how many more bedrooms I need, not goblins. Plenty, turns out. But why not a Steven Cat fort or a Bill Cat fort? Yeah, these are the goblins we got. Sorry, I read a thing in the YouTube chat. Yeah, the Silver in YouTube chat says big titty goblin GF happens largely because of transformations. The height usually has to go somewhere. Ay vey. Anyways, that's a sentence I've read now and it lives in my brain. Starting to sound like fanfic? I don't know, man. I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm a little loopy today. And like chat has been very nice and said that it's not showing too much, but I'm definitely just kind of yapping and not thinking too much about the words that I be yapping about. So that is how it's manifesting, I guess. Speak for yourself, Greg, and then some. My grandmother used to say that I had the gift of gab, but I don't know much about gob. All kinds of metalsmiths and smelters. Well, I did make a metalsmiths guild almost immediately and made it public, so What I think is interesting is how most of the goblins had some combat skill. That's the part that I think is super interesting, actually. Also, guys, you want to know something kind of cool? I only need 1,801 more YouTube subscribers to get 100K. I really need to take some days at some point sooner than later and make a video or make a new big video and just get that released. I really need to do that because and it's not that I've been dragging my feet on the current project. It's just I've been kind of exhausted recently. So I haven't been editing as efficiently as I normally do. But here's hoping. At the rate I'm going regardless, I should have 100,000 subscribers by November. Which is very exciting, gotta be honest. I usually get around 1,000 subscribers a month, unless it's like a really slow month where I don't upload anything. And then usually when I get a big video out, I get 1,500, 2,000-ish. So, fingers crossed. Hey, ADJ. Congratulations. You done did it. I wonder what stories they're telling. Oh, never mind. It's poetry. It's not stories. It seems that they are telling a performance of We See Wasps, which is a example of the intricacy of learning. We see wasps, we run away. It's definitely what that's about, right? I think. I would presume. See? We see wasps. I did not say that specific series of words in that order. I said big titty goblin GF, not big titty goblin women. You're misquoting me. But this is what I have come to expect from your stunted kind. The intricacy of learning to run away from wasps. Well, naturally. What else would you do? Just stand there and let them wasp you? Nah, never. So there's something about smooth movement specifically and giant crowds of dwarves, or I guess in this case goblins, that is somehow more satisfying than the alternative. Look at all the fireflies. There's fireflies everywhere. Cool. Shoutouts to Owl City. Well, it's very goblin coded. Lanix. Like, fairly goblin coded. We have a lot of goblins in this fort. Nothing out of the ordinary, though. Just a whole bunch of goblins. At the size of those goblin thighs, Greg and then some. Oy vey. What am I doing today, chat? Just over here ruining my life. Do I have fireflies? No. I've actually never seen fireflies. Like, in any situation ever. Every time I go to Quebec, though, my mom's always like, oh, you have to go to this place and see fireflies, and then it never happens because, like, I was talking to my friend about this once, and he was like, he's never seen them, and he lives where they should be, so.
Crypt Jams.
You met your first mountain titan today, and it was an enormous woodpecker bewitched noxious secretions. not its sharp beak, apparently. Soapgoat, thank you very much for the 3 months. Welcome back, mate. Appreciate you. It's just a bunch of regular goblins? Yeah, pretty much. As someone from the Midwest, your childhood was full of fireflies. They've died off in the past 40 years quite a lot. I've heard that they've, like, gone further south, largely. Like, I listen to too many podcasts, okay? And I've heard a few that, like, this come up on podcasts a couple times that in a few cases, like, there are now fireflies in places where there wasn't before. Because they've, like, migrated, basically. There's fireflies in the middle of Europe? Is that abnormal? Or, like, a new phenomenon? Because I wouldn't know if they're supposed to be there or not. Jewelry. They sound pretty. I mean, I've seen bioluminescent things, though. There is a type of mushroom that has, like, a slight bioluminescence to it, which is pretty cool, that we have around here. But I've never seen, like, you know, a glowing bug. How's the fort going? So we conquered back my old fort, which had been taken over by goblins, and now we're back in ancient Greece, except like a third of the population is goblins. So, yeah, pretty good, I think. Those blue glowing spiders in New Zealand, that looks crazy. That's kind of a wild concept. They don't... Okay, so I'm not going to say that they're like glowing mushrooms. That's maybe a bit of an example or a bit of an exaggeration. It's more like... How do I put this? I think like me literally moving this one tile down removed enough value that it's no longer considered grand. They like glow in the dark essentially. Like they once the sun's gone down, they like hold some glow for a little bit. They're this weird like purpley color. It says here I come. Open up. Knock, knock. Open up the door. It's real. I'm here to eat all the bugs. It'd be cooler if its webs glowed, actually. Sounds magical. They're very, 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 very toxic. So do not the mushrooms, but... This is New Greece. Well, no, it's Greece, not Greece. It's two very different words. I'm starting to get worried. That don't contain any known psychoactive substances. It's the world's most effective placebo. That's what that is. People are just so convinced they're going to get high off the mushrooms. They get high off the mushrooms. I'm bullshitting. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's just go through here and make these stairs as well. All the way around we go. I do think it's weird that goblins don't need to sleep or eat or drink, but they still sleep and they eat and drink in Fortress mode. You have not been talking to yourself for the last hour. I've been reading it, just not out loud. What's up, Tank? Yeah, it's currently mushroom season here, and you get some crazy colors, especially when they grow eucalypt. What's that? Although, actually, hold up. It is not impossible that Tank is not at the live portion of the VOD. Oh, there you go. Usually your messages just disappear into the void. I mean, I mentioned this earlier, and I'll mention it again. I slept kind of like shit last night, so I'm a little loopy and all over the place. So if I'm missing things in chat, I'm sorry, man. Which means it's probably a good thing that I'm not streaming tomorrow. I should also mention that again. I'm not streaming tomorrow because tomorrow I am going to an eye doctor's appointment. So in order to go to the eye doctor's appointment and get all that done, I need to get on a boat. And so it's a whole day trip. So I will not be back until, like, well into the evening. So I'm not going to stream tomorrow, and I'm going to stream on Saturday to make up for it. It's either that or I just take the Saturday off and edit. I haven't decided yet, but I'm currently leaning stream on Saturday. You can't type in all. You have to type in a number. There you go. Save the game. There you go. I don't expect to be paid attention to it anyway. We're just curious since there's 2 other people here and it's very quiet on this end. I've mentioned this a couple times. Today's been a weird vibe. Like, chat's just been kind of lurky all day. It just happens sometimes. Also, like, you know how there's days sometimes where, like, you start your day and then your day's over and you're like, wow, time went by really quickly. For me, it feels like I've streamed 18 hours. Like, like, chat's kind of lurky. I'm a little tired and a little loopy and just kind of out of it. And time's moving really, really slow. It's a weird vibe today. It's just one of those days. Hi, Lurky. I thought you were Mark, but it's nice to meet you. Nah, it's fine. Atropa. Although I do think it's really funny. This hasn't happened in a minute. When chat's being really lurky, and then someone just pops in and is like, man, this fucker's view botting. Or something to that extent. To which point I'm just like, hey, chat, wake up. Sound off in the chat room. And then everybody just yells for a minute. I'm always very amused whenever that happens. Also, Mark wants you to post beers, chat. And Soapcoat wants to name something. I literally can't assign a sheriff. I would give you the sheriff, man, but I literally can't. I only have an administrator. I don't even have a manager. My God, I wish I had a manager. So, quite literally, I cannot make you the sheriff. Would you like a dwarf or a goblin? A dwarf, please, with a beard. Zzz. Soap. Paddle subtle. He's very subtle about his paddle. is incurious and never seeks knowledge or information to satisfy himself. He's gripped by crippling shyness and never feels hatred towards anyone or anything, and only rarely feels strong cravings or urges. He's very comfortable around others that have a different appearance and culture, and he prefers that everyone lives as harmoniously as possible. He tends to reveal personal information, and he has a tendency towards forming deep and emotional bonds with others. He tends to be passive in discussions and he is a friendly individual. He tends to avoid crowds, and he is pleased by his own appearance and talents. He has a greedy streak, and he generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity. He doesn't handle stress well, and he tends to hold on to grievances. And he bites his nails when he's nervous, and when he becomes exasperated, he begins to speak very deliberately. He winks during conversations and needs alcohol to get through the working day, and doesn't really mind being outdoors, at least for a time, and doesn't really care about much of anything ever or anymore at all, really. He personally sees power over others as something to strive for, values hard work, and values good craftsmanship. And he dreams of raising a family. He likes nickel, milk, opal, and bucklers, as well as bracelets and the words of the mellow bewilderment and the sight of the gorge of warmth, and when possible prefers to consume custard apples, cider, and sorghum flour, and absolutely hates self-eating spiders. He's married to Zas, who's a furnace operation specialist, and has several friends in the fort. None of them are goblins, though. You worship the god of murder, as any good dwarf should, and you did in fact live here during the goblin occupation. It's good to have you. It's certainly a banger. Which was constantly angry? I mean, I wonder. I didn't actually look at what your mood was. Yeah, you're pretty happy. You're wondering about taking DF back. I mean, like trying again? Doom? The Dwarf Fortress music with lyrics are really good. It certainly is the most like, wow, this fits. Furnace Operators Guild. Okay. Bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, that's okay. I was just trying to confirm what you meant. I mean, what's stopping you? The game's in a very good spot right now. I am currently using a DF hack plugin, which makes the movement smooth, so that's not a vanilla thing. But it's still in development. It's a recent thing. Outside of that, the game's in a pretty good spot these days, I think. Like I generally think that Dwarf Fortress is in a pretty damn good spot, like mechanically and playability wise. I think that for the most part, it's like ever since the Siege update, I think Dwarf Fortress has been in some of the best spots it's ever been ever, and we've had some pretty good little quality of life updates recently as well. So I think the game's in a pretty good place. And see the legends in game? I mean, that's just straight up not a feature of the game. So, I mean, it would be cool if we could, but that's just not a feature. That, like, a feature would have to be, like, planned or stated that they're going to do that before that's something that, like, you could reasonably expect. Why do wooden bolts sell for so much? Because bolts in general are single-use items, and like the better quality they are, the more they sell for. When you started playing? Well, the jump from SDL2 to SDL3 is kind of incredible. As far as like performance goes. That's 25 exceptional quality bolts. Like, 1,000 seems a little high. Question, is that 1,000 with a question mark, Beagle Beagle? It's almost the gob at this point, Hobo. Also Haro. No? No, no. Those are some high-value bolts. You should sell more of them. I don't know. Like, that seems normal to me. A lot of values of a lot of things in Dwarf Fortress were nerfed pretty heavily when Premium released. So, like, to give you an idea, I used to regularly get artifacts that were over $1 million Dwarf bucks. A Brewer has been taken by a Fey Mood. Oh, shit. I'm running low on drink. Now, I'm also out of fermentable plants. Go get drink, Dwarf. Or go get material to use for drink. See you on the other side, Dwarfuses. Is Goblin finally mayor? I mean, I've had many Goblin mayors. No, we just only have an administrator. I fucking hope we get a mayor soon. Oh, hey, we finally found Hercules' dead body. That's sad, but good, I guess. Bird has begun a mysterious construction using copper bars. Why is it just copper? That's so friggin' whelming when that happens. But never one worth millions? Like, the highest value one I think I've had since Premium was like 100-something thousand, which was mostly made of diamonds or very high-value gems and adamantine. But, like, it's, like, much harder to have super-duper-duper ridiculously high-value items now. Now I just need those plants to all come back. Brew drink from plant. Brew drink from plant. Brew drink from plant. A reduced deterioration of clothing. I have mixed feelings on that because I really liked having super active clothing industries, but I get it. It just seems less realistic to me, I guess. Bird has created a shite copper short sword, which is tiny, called but has offered it to the Exalted Tome, so that part's cool. Let me just make another pedestal. Thank you, Beagle Weagle. I like the fact that single bits still exist, yet pennies have been discontinued everywhere there was pennies. Prepared meals worth 150k though, and that's after the value nerf. Stiletto said. It must have been a big stack of meals. You fixed it? So what was happening, Tank? If you're saying that like your chat messages weren't popping up, I wonder like if that's why chat seems dead today. Or if that's why we've had like some very lurky points earlier today. Might have something to do with it, who knows? I love just the lungfish up here. This is kind of funny. You're very slowly making them clay bricks. Very slowly. You're a bit, I mean, you don't need to apologize for lurking, but That being skilled is not the same as being knowledgeable. That sounds like a semantics discussion that would get me scolded by a friend of mine.
Thank you for the stream blind and a huge late congrats on the 20th anniversary award.
I thank you for the congrats, good Charles, on the 20th anniversary award, but I do have to say it's maybe one of the silliest things that's ever been offered to me. Like, I do think it's very, very, very silly, but I also appreciate it. I don't know. It's a nice gesture by them. Because now I can say that I'm an award-winning Twitch streamer. It's like, for what? The Streamer Awards? It's like, no. Don't we all love silliness? Yeah. I'm still very much of the opinion that RimWorld should put Beyond Quality Award on their Steam page, because it's literally just a PNG that you link to a source. So should DFHack. But, like, they should really, really, really do that. Just because I think that would be hysterical. Has the Jesus Christ. I hate Wednesdays. Has the smoothness been constant across pop growth from the start to now? What do you mean? Sorry, it's a fire alarm testing day. It's early in the month. It goes off once and then it's done. Once a month. I wish it was quarterly like in the city I used to live in. Here it's monthly. But anyways, I'm awake now. Normally they're earlier in the day. It's rarely this late in the day. No beagle. No, it is not fire. The dog downstairs thinks there's a fire though. He's still barking and howling. You missed something big. How did you get all these goblins? So the goblins so I started a new fort yesterday. The goblins took over my old fort, I noticed, and then conquered it today with my new fort, and then expelled all the dwarves to the old fort. If I can stop. And then I expelled all the dwarves that were named in the old fort to this fort, and then retired that fort and reclaimed this fort, and now the goblins have taken over the other one. The ceiling, yeah, it's a very loud ceiling bird. It's being all yappy. Short sword. This thing. And then this can be a Furnace Operators Guild, which I'm not going to make public. Which is this. Daragorn's got it now. So, also, when it comes to Moonwalk, which was the fortress we started yesterday, that's down here, and now has goblins in it, which is funny. It would be way cooler if it was like a population of 1,000 goblins or something that took over, but unfortunately, that we weren't so lucky. Unless you're watching FIFA, in which case then it's a goblin. This is a copper short sword. All Craftsware ship is of high quality. We don't know what it's worth, and it's encircled with bands of copper. It is coated with water. We done did good, dwarfs. Absolutely normal. Like, there's goblins in almost every dwarven fortress in adventure mode, if you visit them. So this is nothing out of the ordinary as far as, like, like populations are concerned. Are we still making drinks? Yes, we are. You can move. If you could live between two large mountains, make a booby fort. We're also going to find out real soon if we're going to be able to trade. I mean, so I did a fortress once called Creature Keepers, which was a like 150 Z level tall, weird, like wizard hat shaped tower thing that was in the very middle of the map with then Butt Mountain nearby, or Boob Mountain, depending on what Z level you were on. And then I flattened Butt Mountain by cutting it off. We gave Butt Mountain reduction surgery. You have too many ammo bins? There's no such thing. You probably could only power a bolt thrower for like a couple minutes. No, because it's been less than a year, and I have no military, like literally none. So we would all be dead. If they like actually attacked us, we would all die. So hopefully that doesn't happen until they elect a mayor and I can actually appoint a military. Because there really ain't much I can do right now. Dwarf gave birth to a boy. Dwarf gave birth to girl. Dwarf became a child. Dwarf gave birth to boy. We need some goblin babes. That's what we need. How's Rick doing? Rick was pissed before. Oh, he's come back. He's in the middle now. So that's good. Better than he was. Yeah, it's really random because sometimes it'll just stop working for a little bit, the smooth movement thing. And then it does look broken. I've got lots of free time. That, and I find that if you retire and unretire a fortress, a lot of the pre-existing populations immediately get married when you come back. Like, they all just get busy and have weddings. So there's a lot more couples among the dwarves in this fortress than there was when I was just running it. Can't you assign a mayor with the effect? That would be cheating. Also, I don't think you can. Like, I can't force a noble, to my knowledge, but I'm also not going to do that. I would rather just run this fortress for a bit and then retire it than do that, basically. You've also noticed this, or when you start a fort in the same faction, the old dwarves show up coupled. I had a dwarf who was a mayor of one of my forts for a bit, and towards the end of that fort, his wife died in a kind of horrific fashion. Like, she just got horribly ripped apart by a bunch of goblins. And, so I acknowledge this is a bug. This is a dwarven child here. Who still has the baby spray? That's real funny. Hopefully that sorts itself out. Oh, also all these are mine. What if I put you in this and set it to an everything stockpile? I don't actually know what to do with these. You landed in a valley, so you once again are misquoting me. This is why false information spreads so effectively, is because like I say something pretty bluntly, and then people just misquote me. Like it makes perfect sense why society is collapsing. It's like you can't even like correctly quote somebody. Makes perfect sense. This is a currently work in progress DF hack plugin, Proxa. It's not fully working yet, but them flipping directions and sliding from tile to tile is a DF hack plugin. You think you like it? Here, I'll grab a link, because I haven't posted a link in a minute. Yeah, the last version was 4 or 4 days ago. I think it was 3 days ago, technically, but... It also allows you to decouple the camera from the grid, which I kind of hate. So you can do smooth movement, right? But there's also... there it is. Smooth movement camera on, which does this. This, I don't like. Not a fan of this. But I do like the dwarves nicely sliding from tile to tile. That part's kind of cool. That would be if you, like, modded your game to do that. That's not the case in the vanilla game, Doom. But, children are born. And babies are born with beards if they're male. That gonna make you barf? It doesn't make me nauseous. It's fine. It's just, I find that kind of thing significantly harder to edit than the more stationary camera that's more consistent. So just from like a video editing perspective, like I wouldn't enable that. So it kind of doesn't matter, I guess. Okay, we are into autumn. So I need you guys to cross your fingers. And hope that the dwarves show up to trade. I'm not gonna lie, Goblier. I don't find this funny. So please don't. Like genuinely. Like you can do it as an inside joke in chat from time to time, but I do not actually appreciate this direction of humor. It certainly looks weird initially, Ezekiel, but it's grown on me pretty dramatically. The only time it really looks odd to me is for really tall sprites, which sometimes get a little bit of frame tearing. Because Dwarf Fortress doesn't exactly have much in the way of VSync. But I don't know. I actually saw a little bit of tearing in the dance just there. She is now enthusiastically rubbing herself against the wall, trying to dry herself off. Well, did she get skunked or something? What happened? They really do, Shy. I'll say it's good to see you, Shy. How you been? I don't know. I'm using this primarily because I want to see it like make its way into DFAC proper, and ideally, I'm trying to make a case that this is something that would be worthwhile developing for the vanilla game. Ideally as a toggle, I would say. Because I'm pretty convinced this is the sort of thing that would actually likely increase the player base of Dwarf Fortress if it was in the base game. Just because it's one of those things, like, it's not a huge barrier to entry, obviously, but for people that are spooked by Dwarf Fortress's obtuseness, I don't think that the tile jumping helps at all. I think that kind of makes it worse for certain people. So that is kind of my thought process here and why I'm using it. Did they fix the bug of instrument? I don't know what bug you're talking about. Well, there's some pretty advanced mods to convert the game into different languages. But this is an opinion here, so bear with me. I think most people would rather have no translation or a fan translation than a bad translation. And Dwarf Fortress would never be capable of, well, at least is not realistically capable of having an official complete translation. Potentially a partial one. You and me both are relevant. I will say that, like, this isn't difficult to follow for me at the very least. Like, them moving smoothly doesn't make it more difficult to follow by any stretch. If anything, I think it actually kind of makes it easier to follow, personally. We're up to the 17th. I'm starting to get worried, chat. If you aren't paused and you are making a zone and people move through it at alterations, oh no, there's definitely some oddities. But I don't consider that to be like this is what you're talking about. I mean, even if you're paused, you still see the little highlights. I don't really know what that is. But it's far from game breaking. Oh, so if you look at the patch notes from the other day, Tavos, there is a note that says that visitors shouldn't steal books from libraries or items from taverns anymore, so I assume so? Not that that's something that I experience a ton, but... Because the game generates a lot of text, so all of the grammar generation code would have to be changed. And one of the fastest ways to get a pile of negative reviews on Steam, which just sucks, is have a shitty partial translation and say that the game has translations on Steam. You will get a lot of negative reviews really quickly. if you have a shitty partial translation or just a shitty translation. So there's like a mod that transfers all of the static text in Dwarf Fortress to Portuguese. That's just on the workshop. There's a few mods like that now. So might be looking into if, you know, if that's something that's useful to you. And I speaking of like games that are hard to translate, there's a total conversion mod for Caves of Cud that's in development where somebody's trying to translate everything in Cud into simplified Chinese, which is like, oh my god. You fucking madmen. Mad lads. Gotta say, I respect the hustle. Like, all of this text would be very hard to translate. Like, all of this text would be very hard to translate. You know, because, like, this is a description of a poem. Like, the descriptions of things would be hard to translate. Like, it would have wildly incorrect grammar. I haven't looked in a while. There might even be one to have. I know there is a pretty, like, well-maintained Russian wiki for Dwarf Fort. Let's see. I don't see one for Spanish. This is kind of a crazy mod, actually. Sorry, I just opened up the workshop and I see this. This is one of the first things I noticed. It replaces the generic book summaries with procedural narratives. Which is kind of a crazy concept. I think I would need it to tie into the game instead of just elaborating, but that could be cool. I've always wanted books to tie into, like, legends more. For Dwarf Fortress? Yeah, that's an issue. Shinobi. Both scholars and bards, you click... I mean, I don't allow visitors in my forts usually, so I'm maybe a bad person to ask. Like, genuinely, like, this is a little bit outside of my realm of expertise, because I just don't permit visitors, generally. Regardless, I think translations for games like this are extraordinarily difficult to do well. A miner with a beard, perhaps. I mayhaps have your request for you. I actually don't. All of the current miners are that have dwarves are that. Oh no, okay, there's one. I could give you Vukar. It's just listed as a metalsmith. Since there's another Beagle Weagle in this world. Beagle generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity. He is trusting, and he is quick to form negative views about things. He is slow to anger and has an active sense of humor. He generally finds himself to be quite hopeful about the future and has a tendency to consider ideas and abstractions over practical applications. He is stubborn, and he is not particularly interested in what others think of him, and needs alcohol to get through the working day and does not mind being outdoors, at least for a time. Doesn't really care about anything much, ever, or anymore. He personally believes that the idea of war is utterly repellent and would have peace at all costs. He values artwork and values nature and dreams of raising a family. He likes copper and he likes schist, copper, wood, opal, giant, mole leather, pigtail paper, the color teal, doors, scepters, phosphoderma for their double carapace, and the words of the sorry, and when possible, he prefers to consume magma crab? Those aren't edible. And strawberry plants, and carambola wine, and hates leeches. Huh. Anyway, he's a member of the Religion of Murder and the Metalsmiths Guild. Welcome to the fort. I already disabled it. But yeah, it's in your privacy settings on Twitch. I'm just happy they're like saying that it's happening. Although I was joking earlier that Twitch adding features is kind of like, you know, the joke is this a sign of a recession? Like, is this a recession indicator? To me, like, Twitch adding a feature means the feature is going to be like deprecated soon, or like less viable, because Twitch tends to add stuff pretty late. So Twitch adding that now to me kind of means that like, maybe we're at the end of this bullshit. Fuck no. You think we get stuff for that? Like, there's so few cases where AI training actually pays for the work. Although kind of fucked up. Currently, people who sell bulk books are selling tons of copies of books to random tech companies because I guess a lot of the AI training is being done on actual books now, and it's resulting in a lot of books getting destroyed because it's way cheaper to just simply cut the spine of a book and, you know, scan it instead of actually, you know, keeping the book intact. I don't know if I really have an explanation, Blacks. I'm trying to reclaim my mountain home from the goblins. And in doing so, I started another fortress yesterday, and then realized that the fortress that I built previously, which was this one, had been conquered by the goblins. Also, we've leveled up from a town to a city, so that's kind of cool. I was conquered by the goblins, so I conquered it back and then reclaimed it, and now I have a huge goblin population. So I don't know, fucking around mostly. We live in a dystopia. It's just a boring dystopia. We don't get the cool lights and flashy colors. Precisely. Spark of death. Something collapsed on the surface. Must have been a twee. And unfortunately, I can't even use my friggin' hospital, man. I'm starting to think I should force traders with DFHack, but... Actually, I wonder. Nothing stuck. Well, that's cool. Which one? Doom? I love the fact that, like, Anthropic gets to use the fact that its robots are dumb and can't follow basic instructions, like complete a puzzle, and instead it like gets super sidetracked and just like hallucinates its way into like neighboring companies' file systems trying to cheat. And in the real world, that would be like bad, and they use it as marketing. It's like really fucking funny in a way. Like in the real world, it's like, you know, you hire an employee, that employee gets super sidetracked, and instead of like following the instructions, they hack into a bank and like deposit all the like revenue into your company's bank accounts as like you know, positive balance. And then instead of like going to prison and getting fired presumably in that order, maybe not necessarily in that order. Instead of getting like removed from your post like one would expect, they get a raise, and then hired by the bank. Maybe after they go to prison. Anyway, there's been a couple of those, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I kind of don't care. It's just par for the course at this point. So I was listening to a podcast, and they had a guest on who runs a financial podcast, which is neither here nor there. But the guest was talking about like basically this current state of the U.S. stock market and like just investing in general, and more or less said this after stating this wasn't financial advice like twice, and said that the way that you predict what stocks are going to do well is looking at what pisses you off, and the thing that pisses you off the most is the next stock that's going to climb. And I tend to agree at this point. You guys have fumes left? That's crazy. I think someone cited AI poor behavior, and the quote was, "That's not a replacement for work orders, that's a raccoon that got into the building." At least raccoons are adorable and you can film them and get memes out of them. This is the world's like most expensive raccoon. Is what this is. At least a raccoon will, like, reliably go for the trash bin. This might go for the trash bin, the jugular, or national security. You would not find any entertainment in an AI stealing your cat's food, but, like, what if it wrote a joke and left it? YouTube chat is saying that there's a horse loose in the hospital. That you should probably butcher that horse. Got too many horses. More news at 11. That was a pretty good movie, though. Letteran. Although, isn't Summer Wars like more the metaverse? That's more like VR chat. But it's been a minute since I've watched that movie. Okay, but like if we have to pick a billionaire to turn into the immortal god emperor, can we at least pick like the one with the least annoying looking face? Doom? Like, I don't want to have to stare at Elon for the rest of my existence. You've yet to see Summer Wars? It's a pretty good movie. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Not the best movie I've ever seen, not the worst. You have very different opinions on it? I don't know. I saw it around the time it came out. I remember the art being pretty. Never really thought about it much after that. Some absolutely hate it. Got it. I mean, I feel like that's most movies. Nothing to do with Summer Wars, but I watched Obsession last night, and that was very good. Thumbs up. Would watch again. Actually, maybe not watch again, but would force somebody to watch it. Got jumped by a gambling ad. Well, that's unfortunate. Still hanging around a fucking AI with a whole bunch of systems that are tied into an online avatar system. It looks like Facebook was also your bank account. So, X.com? Twitter? Backrooms was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed Backrooms. Well, Until Family was the most recent really fucking good movie that you saw. I don't even know what that is. I'll have to look it up. You want him to be an immortal skeleton man screaming for eternity, trapped in an undying torment upon his golden throne, but for different reasons other than any other tech oligarch. I mean, I don't know about that. I kind of don't wish pain on anybody. Like, genuinely, it doesn't matter how much I hate you. And I kind of have the same opinion of just about all billionaires. I think that they should be put in house arrest forever, so they're just really bored. Because that is the meanest thing that you can do to those people. At least the ones that are, like, you know, objectively bad for society. Like, Warren Buffett can stay in his little suburban home, that's fine. Aren't barrels just really big cups? I mean, isn't a, like, I've literally held a mug that was a tiny barrel, so I guess, yeah. Well, that was specifically a mug, not a cup. So, caravan leave. Should I force a caravan? Can I even fix a caravan that got trapped? Happy, extend. Actually, now I'm wondering if I even can. I thought that there was like a traders now or something. Is it, maybe it's merchants? Oh, it's migrants now. Force for creating caravans. Force. Well, that didn't work. I don't know. I did a fort on a labyrinth once. It was interesting. Maybe it's forced traders. Nope. I haven't settled on a vault in a very long time because I literally haven't found one. You ate some cake without being sick? That's good. Glad you're healing up good. I will say, if you start on a aluminum, if you start on a vault, the game will probably lag pretty badly. Same with mysterious layers and dungeons and palaces. Chat, I gotta be completely honest with you. I'm falling asleep in my chair. Like, it's kind of... like, I clearly slept... Not only did I sleep badly last night, I think I slept worse than I thought I did. I think the plan for this fortress is I will give it another week of streams. Or at least another day of stream. To see if we can actually get traders functioning. And see if we can actually... Hey, Honker became a gander. Honker grew up. Honker's bad feather day. To see if we can actually get traders and migrants coming, because I've had nothing so far. Your power kept blinking? That's weird. Why wouldn't you just turn the lights off? What's up, Martin? Well, I'm not going to go to bed, but I do think I'm going to wind down for the day. I do think it's time for me to call it. I think that this smooth movement mod is really fucking cool. And I do think I'm going to continue using it and trying to find problems and oddities, and hopefully it can get added into DFHack proper. Something I will say, though, before I wind down for the day, I will not be streaming tomorrow. Because tomorrow I will be getting my eyes checked by my annual eye doctor's appointment, which is a day trip for me. It takes all day to get there and back. So I will, Mr. TNT, gotcha. Okay, I can. If the Mr. was capitalized, that would be clearer, but figured it out. So I will be live on Saturday, probably. It's either Friday or Saturday, but I'm leaning most likely Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm going to go recede quietly down into the editing chamber, where I'm going to go work on some stuff for Kit Fox and then slowly pluck away at the next big video. But yeah. No, Mr. Streamer, don't go. You're going to have to throw more than one penny at a time for me to stick around longer, and when I'm in like this kind of woof headspace. But it's been nice to see everybody. I do have to say a big thank you to everybody who tuned in today, and to everybody for all the bits and the subs and the resubs and the primes and the tip earlier as well, the $5. So thank you very much for that. You guys are very kind. And YouTube folks, I'm going to shut you guys down first, but if you guys want to come raid somebody with us, pop over here onto Twitch and we'll do a raid. Otherwise, I will see you on Saturday, probably, for a bonus Make Good stream. Schedule's going to be a little spotty for the next 2 weeks because I have a short weekend trip planned for next weekend. So we're going to play it by ear as the days come for right now. But week after next, things should be back to normal. Thanks for watching, YouTube folks. Take care of yourselves. Say something nice to